Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for November 7th, 2024. I'm going to be doing the Week 10 Fantasy Football Rundown tonight. I'm usually joined by Kenny of thecapisfake.com, but Kenny's out of town. I tried to get a replacement for tonight. Wasn't really possible. I probably should have tried earlier in the week, but we had so much stuff with like the trade deadline and then the election. We had like a 4.5 hour show last night. So it was tough, but I do have a replacement lined up next week. So Kenny's going to be off this week and next week. Then he's going to be back for week 12. So looking forward to that. But yeah, we're going to break all the games down as we usually do, and I'll answer any fantasy football questions you guys have, or any questions in general. Well, you know how I roll. Like when I'm solo, I just don't have to worry about anyone getting canceled. Um, so I'll answer anything, football related, election wise. We although we did have 4.5 hours of election plus pick stuff last night, but yeah, anything goes here, of course. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As you can see here, we have a ton of t-shirts here, 20% off right now. We just keep adding more. I have an idea for a new one, but I just couldn't quite get the AI to generate a good logo for it. But yeah, our newest one is "Make Garbage Great Again," which is it's a nice shirt to wear these days. You get to maybe make some people angry, which is always nice. But yeah, you can get this and everything else at the Walter Football merch store. It's the, like I said, link in the description. Yeah, 20% off right now, and these are high quality shirts, as Cassandra can vouch for. They've lasted for years with me. I am wearing one of them as usual. Ken Griffin lied. Hashtag Ken Griffin lied, which has to do with the whole AMC GameStop thing. Particularly, I think GameStop with Ken Griffin. Mission accomplished. Absolutely. What a glorious night that was. It was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, the beauty is like we didn't have to wait too long. So after we signed off last night, I turned on like I don't even like Fox News, but I turned on Fox News. It was the default. I'm like, you know what? I want to see like people upset. So I turned on CNN, and it was just so funny to watch the reactions. To be fair, like some of the people on CNN were fair. One guy in particular was like super reasonable. But there was like there were a couple of people in there like one woman. She was like, let's face it, Kamala would have won if she was a straight white man. I was like, okay, yeah, you want to ignore all her failures as vice president, like on the border, on the economy, which, by the way, she said she would never change. She wouldn't change a single thing Biden did. Like the economy's in shambles, the border's in shambles. That's what people care about the most. Like, of course, she lost. But yeah, it's nothing to do with her gender or race, like nothing at all. Anyway, please consider super chats, super stickers too. John, Sanders, and Sue have been the best here, just contributing to the show. You guys have been so awesome with your contributions because YouTube ads pay nothing. I say this all the time. It's like we get lucky if we get like $1 on the show. If we get no super chats, super stickers, like it's usually like 61 cents. 61 cents like pops up quite a bit for some reason. Like sometimes it's like 83 cents. Like I saw $1.05 once. I'm like, ah, this is incredible. But then it went down to like 61 cents the next time. So like, yeah, I guess things are back to normal. I don't know. I guess they sold some premium ads or something. And I imagine it's probably going to get even worse because the election's over. So all those election ads are going to go away. But I guess Christmas is coming around the corner. Black Friday's going to be here in 3 weeks. So yeah, that will help. But like, there's going to be like 2 or 3 weeks in a row now that are going to be pretty bad. But yeah, so like I said, any contributions would be so appreciated, just because it'll keep the show going. And as I joke about this all the time, I'm like, yeah, I could go outside and pick up change and make more money doing it. It's like obviously not nearly as much fun. Like I love doing this stuff, but it's sad but true. There's YouTube ads pay nothing. Also, consider buying my books on Amazon. Jerks of the College Years, where I make fun of people at Penn State. I went there for 6 years. So as you can see, I had a lot of content here. Also, I have the 2020 MVP was stolen. I guess I don't need a 2024 version, although one would be funny. So yeah, you can get that on Amazon, plus my other book, The Safety and a Field Goal. Let's see here. Okay, Andrew asking, desperate for a flex, Gesicki or Justice Hill? You'll want to check if T. Higgins is out. Higgins is doubtful right now, so I assume he's not going to play. If he's out, Gesicki is going to play such a major role. He plays in the slot. So what happens when Higgins is out? Chase plays outside more, so they need a slot receiver, and then it's Gesicki. Like Gesicki's not even the tight end. Like when Higgins is out, he plays the slot role. In fact, like with Eric All Jr. out, I don't even think that affects Gesicki much in this game because he has the slot role. Assuming Higgins is out, I think like a sleeper. Not I wouldn't recommend starting him over Justice Hill, but Tanner Hudson is someone to look out for in the showdown. I think he's only 1,600. So there's so in the showdown DraftKings. There's so many high priced guys like you want to get like Lamar Jackson in your lineup. You want to get Zay Flowers. You want to get Jamar Chase. You want to get Joe Burrow. You want to get Derrick Henry. These guys are so expensive. It's so hard to get them into your lineup. Like you have to have a cheap guy. I think Tanner Hudson makes sense at 1,600. But see, Cassandra says so. Anyway, to answer your question, Andrew, Gesicki by a mile. Cassandra says someone I follow posted, I feel so bleeping unburdened. And I thought, yes, actually, that's exactly a perfect phrasing. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Has to be Gesicki in the match. Yeah, absolutely. That's where I'm leaning. Thanks. I also now feel unburdened. Well, I hope good luck in your matchups. I hope Gesicki does well. I'm going to be playing him in the showdown that I talked about. I think he's like 6,600 on DraftKings. So yeah, I mean he projects so well with Higgins out. He's basically the number 2 receiver when Higgins is not playing. So I like him quite a bit. Justice Hill can do well, but like he's just so hit or miss. Because like he'll either catch some passes and break some like long games, or he just won't do anything. Like it's he's a good guy to have in best ball if you draft him late. So like some weeks he'll like spike and maybe be your RB2 or something. But you just can't count on that in regular fantasy. All right, let's get to the games, and I'll pause after every game to see if there are any questions. So the first game we had last week was Jets 21, Texans 13. The Texans had a 7-0 lead in this game, although the Jets really should have had the 7-0 lead because Corley fumbled into the end zone. So the Jets rebounded well from that. Devontae Adams had a 7 for 91 a touchdown. So his first great game with the Jets. Garrett Wilson, though, 9 for 90, 2 touchdowns. I think Wilson is the guy to own here. Like despite Adams, historically the better talent. I think Adams's presence opens things up for Wilson. Now it's pretty close, but like if I had to start one guy, I'm talking like DraftKings at this point, I think it would be Wilson. I think he's $100 cheaper as well. Not that that's like a huge deal, but just Rodgers for some reason, like even though he's had so much chemistry with Adams in the past. Just feels like he has more chemistry with Wilson at the moment. Now maybe that changes, but I'd rather have Wilson than Adams right now. Breece Hall got there for us. We actually won the same game parlay. We had Breece Hall over rushing yards. We had Joe Mixon over rushing yards. We had C.J. Stroud over rushing yards. We had Braylon Allen under rushing yards. Braylon Allen had 12 carries the week before. And I noted in the write-up that I thought that was going to decrease a lot because it seemed like the Jets were preserving Hall because they had a Thursday game coming up and like it's 4 days, they didn't want to wear him down. So they gave Braylon Allen 12 carries. So like if you look at his box scores, all the stats, like the 12 carries will pop up, and you're like what happened there? And I just think it was because they're looking ahead. So. I said I thought he'd get in the 2, 3, maybe 4 carries, and that's what happened. So Breece Hall is definitely the number one guy. Like you don't have to worry about Braylon Allen taking stuff away, but Braylon Allen you still want to own him because if Hall goes down, like he's automatically an RB2 at the very least. The Texans they might be getting Nico Collins back now. I saw some positive reports about him a week ago saying that like he was ready to go. But today he didn't practice. So I guess like mixed signals. I don't know what's going on there. The next 2 days will be very important for his status. I did the pick show with Evan after the election stuff yesterday. We both like the Texans, but we were both saying that like, yeah, Collins has to play because this offense is so dreadful without him. We saw that on Thursday, even though they're playing a really good defense. So the next game's Titans 20, Patriots 17. The Titans should have won this game 17-10. Drake May like danced around the backfield forever on that last play, and he threw a touchdown. It's so tilting because I Titans -3 as a bet, and it's still pushed, but it's a bet we should have won. So Mason Rudolph had a fine game, but it was such an easy matchup. The Pacers defense is awful. They can't get pressure at the quarterback. They can't cover. Christian Gonzalez is much worse this year. Kind of, it's like, hey, like Belichick's gone. Suddenly the defensive backs are not as good. Like, what a surprise, right? It's just such an easy match. But I think Rudolph is going to struggle a lot next week against the Chargers. Pollard had a great game, but same thing. Like, the Chargers' run defense so much better than New England's. New England's run defense is awful. Calvin Ridley, 5 for 73. Ridley has been getting a lot of targets ever since DeAndre Hopkins was traded. And I think that's going to continue. But next week's matchup is pretty tough. So I don't know if he's going to be that productive, but he is someone to own. I like, if you want to like try to trade for him, I guess he's done well lately. I guess the time to trade for him was 2 weeks ago, rather than now. But still, I do like Ridley rest of the season just because Rudolph and I guess Will Levis, they don't really have anyone else to throw to. For the Patriots, you have Drake May, who looks horrible sometimes. He looks great sometimes. Like, this reminds me of Josh Allen year one. We see all the potential, and we see some big downsides. And as long as they develop him, like, he should do well. Hunter Henry continues to be the only guy you can rely on. Although Demario Douglas had 7 catches, but only for 35 receiving yards. Okay, so that's the next game. Chargers 27, Browns 10. So Justin Herbert had a great connection going with Quentin Johnston in the second quarter. Johnston finally looks like the receiver they thought they were going to get in the first round last year. Like, he was awful last year, but he's finally coming on, and I think it's legit. Like, it just goes to show how important the coaching staff is to a player's development. Like, last year, he was under Brandon Staley. Staley's coaching staff was terrible. Andy Isco, who does the Thursday show with me, he called it going from the worst coach in the NFL to one of the best coaches in the NFL. And I agree with that. I think Brandon Staley just was awful. So not a surprise that Johnston's doing better. Ladd McConkey, 5 for 64 is pretty solid. J.K. Dobbins wasn't doing much, and then he picked up steam in the second half. The Browns were wearing down, and they just couldn't stop him. Jameis Winston was a disaster in this game. It shows that here he only had 3 interceptions. He had 3 other interceptions that were dropped that I saw. Like, there may have been more that I'm just not remembering. But he could have had 6 interceptions in this game. It just goes to show that, like, yeah, sometimes Winston looks great, and then sometimes he looks awful. And we saw that in that one season where he had 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. It's funny that we just saw it back to back. He was great against the Ravens, although he did have that potential pick that was dropped late in the game, but he was tremendous otherwise. And then now we see this, like, he was so bad. But I guess the difference is, he played against the Ravens defense a week ago or a week before this, and the Ravens were missing their top 2 quarterbacks, and they already had a bad secondary. And now he goes against the Chargers, who have a really good defense. The Chargers are 3rd in defensive EPA. So this is just such a tough matchup for him. Chubb also 15 for 39. The only guy who did well here is Cedric Tillman, 6 for 75 and a touchdown. I think this is legit at this point. 3 games in a row where he's had really good production. It's just so hard to deny this. He looks really good. So, and I imagine that he has to be like pretty close to 100% owned at this point. A week ago, or I should say, like, after last week's games, he was still less than he was still owned in less than half of ESPN leagues. So, kind of remarkable that despite after 2 big games, he wasn't owned as much. But I have to believe that he's definitely up there. Like, some ESPN leagues, I feel like are slow to adjust. And I kind of want to check this now out of curiosity. But I like, sometimes you see that, like, you see like a guy's like 45% owned in ESPN leagues, and you're like, how is that possible? But I think like some of these leagues in ESPN are like 18 leagues. where like, yeah, it kind of makes sense for them not to be owned there. So Tillman, he is currently, wow, he's 50.4% owned in ESPN leagues. I guess like, yeah, he has a bye coming up. So that might have something to do with it, but that's still crazy, you know. And like I said, some of these leagues are 18 leagues, but he should still be owned in every league at this point. It's kind of embarrassing, you know. Anyway, that's about it for this game. So the Panthers 23, Saints 22. Bryce Young didn't look that bad, although like he had some terrible moments. But this is a Saints defense that was just ravaged by injury. They're missing their top three cornerbacks, and now we know that Marshall Lattimore is not going to be around. So it's like Bryce Young just he had one of his better games here, and I imagine that he's going to regress soon. I don't know if it's going to happen against the Giants because they have a bad defense, but coming out of the bye, they have the bye after the London game. The Panthers schedule after the London game. So they have the Chiefs. They have kind of a balanced schedule. They have the Chiefs to start, which is going to be a disaster for them. Then they have the Buccaneers, that's pretty soft pass defense. But then they have the Eagles, which is tough. Then they have the Cowboys, which again soft defense. And the Cardinals have improved. Then they have the Buccaneers, who again bad defense, and then they have the Falcons at the end, and the Falcons might be resting the starters. So Bryce Young has some tough matchups. He also has some easy matchups after the bye. But I think that Chiefs game might really expose him at the same time. Like he may not survive that game. He might be just so terrible there. Xavier Legette looks really good, although only 4 for 33 and touchdown. He looks explosive. Can't wait to see what he does with a real quarterback. Alvin Kamara had 215 total yards from scrimmage. Like that's insane. It just shows you how bad the Carolinas defense is. Like Kamara's a great player, but like still 215 total yards of offense. It's crazy. The one takeaway though, Taysom Hill had 4 catches for 41 yards. And he also had 5 carries for 19 yards and a touchdown. Now, Chris Olave's out. Obviously, he suffered another concussion. So with him out and Rashid Shaheed out, like the Saints had no one left. And so I guess it's not a surprise that Taysom Hill was doing work as both a tight end and a fullback. So I think he's pretty impactful now. Like I'm usually anti Taysom Hill because you can't count on those touchdowns, and like I'd rather play a viable tight end instead. But like he's playing 2 roles now. And so when he's played this tight end role before, like he's done well, and like he has the rushing upside. Like he could be a league winner potentially, assuming Olave is going to be out for a while. I'd be shocked if Olave returns soon because he suffered a second concussion in 3 weeks. It's just so brutal to come back from that, and like he went off on a stretcher too. It's not like a normal concussion, so he might be like Tua, where he goes on IR for 4 games. John asking, would you accept the trade offer in a PPR league? Shakir for Laporta. My current tight end is Njoku. So I'd rather have. I think I'd rather have Shakir at this point. He's been so consistent, whereas Laporta, he's fighting with so many players on that team for targets. Like, and Jameson Williams has been out the past 2 weeks. Jameson Williams is coming back. They obviously have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. They run the ball so much, and they have other receivers. And Laporta is just not. He's just like he's disappointed. And I thought that he might rebound a little bit with Jameson Williams out with the suspension, but that didn't happen. I would much rather have Njoku than Laporta. I don't think they're close. Like Njoku is the receiver 1 or 2 in Cleveland. I guess like with Tillman emerging, he's the receiver 2. Like Njoku is going to have. I think a great second half of the season. I want to look up his playoff schedule. I do remember it being favorable. So Njoku in the final 3 games, he plays against the Chiefs, who can't stop tight ends at all. He plays against the Bengals, who can't stop tight ends at all. And then he plays against the Dolphins, who let me check Miami's tight end. Miami's actually not bad against tight ends. So like the first 2 weeks of the playoffs, like he has dream matchups. So Njoku is someone I'd rather have than Laporta. I know the trade is Shakir for Laporta, but I'd rather have Shakir. So hope that answers your question. So yeah, that's about it for this game. Let's get to Falcons 27, Cowboys 21. This is a game where Mike McCarthy made so many mistakes on fourth down. Um, they had too many men in the huddle on one fourth down. They tried a fake punt where it's like, why don't you just go for it? A team that goes the fake punts is a team that should be one that doesn't have much offensive talent. Like if the Panthers are trying fake punts, I get it because they have Bryce Young at quarterback and Leggett, while promising, is still like not an ideal number one receiver. Like you have Prescott, you have Lamb, you have Ferguson. Like you should be able to pick up a 4th and 3 or whatever it was. So it just seems so silly. So anyway, Prescott's out. He's going to be out for at least 4 weeks, if not longer. I'd be shocked. I'd kind of be surprised if he returns, honestly, because once the 4 weeks are over, the Cowboys going to be out of it. Like, why not just why risk him? Like, why risk further injury with him? So and plus Lamb is now week to week too. So he may only miss 1 game. We'll see. Could miss 2, but given that he's week to week, I'd be a little bit surprised if he returns for the Eagles game. So it's going to be Cooper Rush throwing to, I guess, Jalen Tolbert and Kavontae Turpin and Jake Ferguson, which does not sound like a great offense at all. Rico Dowdle, I think, is the only guy I'd want in the situation. Like, not even Ferguson just seems like almost. I guess he's okay. Like, if you want to keep starting Ferguson, that's okay. Like in favorable matchups. Rico Dowdle, I think he's like a low end running back 2, high end running back 3 at this point because he's going to get targets. Like he had 5 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown this game, and given that like Cooper Rush is going to check the ball down a lot, especially given that the offensive line is not that good anymore. I think that you're going to see Dowdle get 4 to 7 targets each week. So he's going to be functional in PPR leagues. So yeah, like I said, until Lamb returns, like he's the only guy I'd start for the Cowboys, unless like you don't have a better option than Ferguson at tight end. For the Falcons, Bijan Robinson looks as amazing. Don't need to tell you that. Drake London suffered a hip pointer. He might be out a week. We'll see. So Darnell Mooney looks great right now. Unfortunately, he's a little too expensive in DraftKings. I think he's like 6,500. And I thought about writing him up as one of my options for a receiver. And I'm like, I just can't get to Mooney 6,500. Seems like a little too rich there. But anyway, Kyle Pitts had a regression game here. He was been awesome. He's been awesome before this game, but tougher matchup. So I feel like he could rebound this next week. They play against the Saints, who generally are pretty poor to tight ends. I want to go back for a second to this game. I think, Jatavian Sanders. I skipped him. 4 for 87. That's how bad the Saints are against tight ends. So I think Kyle Pitts could rebound here. And yeah, Bijan had 7 catches for 59 receiving yards. He's just he's awesome right now. Like if you were to redraft right now and you exclude buys, obviously Christian McCaffrey I think would be RB1 or number 1 overall, and I guess Barkley. But after that, I think you might have to consider Bijan. Although I probably still look at I guess like Justin Jefferson or someone like that, or Jamar Chase. But still, like Bijan would have to be in the conversation there. But yeah. Anyway, we have. Yeah, you're welcome, John. Is Frizzle asking, is Zamir White a decent pickup now with the changes in the coaching staff? I don't think like Zamir White's just not a good player. Like even if he gets the job back, it's like what are you going to get out of him? And he doesn't have the blocking either. So, and I also think the schedule. I don't know. Let me look at the schedule, particularly the playoff schedule for the Raiders. So in the playoffs, they play against the Falcons, Jaguars, and Saints. So that Saints matchup is nice, but then again, like I don't really trust the blocking. Falcons matchup is pretty good. Jaguars matchup is not as good because the Jaguars are a pass funnel defense. But before that, so the next few games for the Raiders after the bye are the Dolphins, Broncos, Chiefs, and Buccaneers. The Dolphins matchup is a good one, but Denver, Kansas City, and Tampa are all good against the run. So I really wouldn't expect much from Zamir White. I really couldn't get to him at all. That blocking is so bad. So like even if he like improves a little bit, he's just not going to get the blocking. John says Amir White's averaging 2.9 yards per carry. I don't know why he's not working at McDonald's with Harris right now. Harris didn't even work at McDonald's, so I guess I don't know. I like the I heard a suggestion that Harris should do a cooking show because like the only time she has like good answers for anything is like when people ask her about cooking, like she gets like excited about it. So I heard someone say that like she should have a show called Kamala's Kitchen, which would I don't know. I think that would actually make her happy because like sometimes she seemed like miserable while she's running. Andrew, $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Andrew. Really appreciate it. Like I said, these YouTube ads pay absolutely nothing. So this like almost is more than quintuples what we normally get on the show from the YouTube ads. So I really appreciate it, Andrew. Thank you so much for tuning in and commenting and asking questions and contributing here. Just really appreciate it. Okay, so Sue says McDonald's introduces a new salad. Harris will be the ideal person to promote the product. The word salad, it could be like yeah, it could actually have like letters shaped like the salad, the lettuce could be shaped in letters. The lettuce could be shaped in letters. I think that'd be awesome. That's a good idea actually. The word salad. Frizzle asking who you think I can get if I sell Mixon. I want a top receiver with decent running back. Interesting question. I think let me actually like look at this. I'm just gonna look at the best ball draft that I did tonight. And just to give you an idea, like where everyone's going. So Joe Mixon went at 110 tonight, and you want a receiver. So like CeeDee Lamb went 112. Tyreek Hill went 202. Malik Neighbors went 204. I think like a trade for Malik Neighbors, Joe Mixon for Malik Neighbors, it makes sense. Like Joe Mixon is a top running back. I don't know if I'd necessarily like want to offload him. I don't know like why you want to sell him. Like maybe you're like bearish on the Texans going forward, but that's kind of like those receivers are kind of like where like the same players are going in the same range as him. Yeah. So anyway, because did Harris end up giving a censor speech? I thought she was going to give one at 6:00, but I wasn't home. Not that I was going to watch anyway. Like, what's the point? But I wasn't home. I was actually driving home from swim lessons with my son. But yeah, I know it was supposed to be at 6:00. Thoughts on Ray if Drake sits? I like Ray McCloud in this matchup. It's so great. The Saints are horrible against slot receivers. They are the worst team in the NFL against them. Ray plays in the slot. So normally I don't think that would make a huge deal, a huge difference. Just because receivers sometimes don't like elevate their play if another guy's out. It's obviously very common for running backs because there's more opportunities, but usually like the receivers still have the same role. Like they have the two guys on the outside, they have the X and the Y receiver, and they have the guy in the slot. So McLeod's still going to be in the slot. Now he may get like one or two more targets, but this matchup is so great. So I would like him regardless, regardless of whether or not London plays or not. Friesel asking 10-man PPR, Amon-Ra, and James Conner for Saquon. Other receivers are Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Reed, Darnell Mooney. Running backs are Derrick Henry, Brian Robinson Jr., and Chase Brown. Amon-Ra and James Conner for Saquon. I think I'd rather have Amon-Ra and James Conner. James Conner's playoff schedule is so easy. I've been drafting him a lot in best ball. Like DraftKings, they have like right now they have like week 10 onward in best ball. So I'm still drafting. Here's Arizona's playoff schedule. They have the Patriots in week 15. Patriots, one of the worst run defense in the NFL. Then they have the Panthers in week 16. The Panthers are atrocious against the run, even worse. And then week 17, they have the Rams, who are better than those teams, but still, they're not that great against the run. I believe that they are weak to receiving backs. They're not that good to receiving backs. So that could be a game where Connor gets receiving yards out of the backfield. So like you'll at least like he'll give you a great chance to get to the championship against the Patriots and the Panthers. Like I would want to trade for Connor right now. Now hopefully he stays healthy. You never know. He does have that injury history, but he's someone I would definitely want to trade for. All right, so Andrew says she did a concession speech. It was terrible. I not a surprise. I have no desire to watch it either. Like what's she gonna say? You know. Yes, Cassandra. Sue says yes, Cassandra. She spoke about darkness and a billion stars. Is that true? Nice, Andrew. Welcome to the party. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Andrew, so much. Really appreciate it. Sorry to pay you in Canadian pesos. I have no idea what $5 in Canadian money translates to. I have no idea, but I do appreciate it. I really do. Cassandra says that sounds fantastic. Can't wait to watch it. If it was funny, if you guys say it was funny, maybe I'll watch it. But I don't know. She's an idiot. Like, what's she gonna say? She gave a concession speech. It was fine. Yeah. Frizzle says I'm in a 14-man. It's 3-6, fifth in PF. My receivers are Olave. I think this is Devontae Smith, Flowers, Leggett, Pop. My running backs are Mixon and Bijan. So I was just curious if it's time to trade away one of my running backs to upgrade my receiver room. Well, I mean, who else are your running backs? Like you only listed two there, right? So, I mean, Olave, Devontae Smith, say Flowers, Leggett. Like that's not a bad receiving room. Like, well, I completely glossed over Olave. I'm like, yeah, he's pretty good. No, he's injured. So, yeah, I mean, Zay Flowers is awesome. I think Leggett is going to be better once Andy Dalton starts again. I don't know when that's going to happen. Pop Douglas is okay. Devontae Smith is good, obviously. But yeah, I can see why you'd want to upgrade receiver. Yeah. So yeah, Mixon. You could. Yeah, I think like someone like Malik Neighbors makes sense for Mixon. She says, what's Walt's take on the stock market spike today? I thought the so-called Hitler 2.0 was supposed to be a bad thing. Yeah, no surprise that the stock market went up with Trump. You know, he's good for business. I think Kamala being elected would have been awful for the stock market. I actually thought the stock market had already priced in Trump. So like I was like I didn't like it's not surprising that it went up, but at the same time, I thought like there might have been a chance that like it might have been a little bit steady, just because like they thought Trump would be elected. But I guess people didn't really know what was going to happen because I mean we talked about it last Saturday where that poll came out, the Seltzer poll, and I was like, this is all wrong because Seltzer asked what the people cared about, and they said abortion and democracy, which is like way down the list. And like the Gallup poll continues to be 100%, 100% accurate ever since they started. The question for those who don't know, do I still have it pulled up? Yeah, here it is. The question is the most important problem in America. What is the most important problem? And then who do you trust to fix it? The most important problem, actually, I was actually tied. Economy in general, and the immigration. So 1-2, they're tied for first. And who do you trust to fix it? It was Republicans 46% to Democrat 41%, which I find like absolutely mind-boggling that it was that close. Like the Democrats were in charge of the border and the economy, and like it's only 5% difference. Like I guess like a lot of people are stupid, but so with the Seltzer poll, they said democracy and abortion, and like so you look at like government poor leadership is third. That's anti-democrat right now, obviously because they're in office. They're in office right now. Fourth is high cost of living. Same thing. And then you get to the bottom stuff. You got tied for fifth. You get federal budget deficit, which anti-democrat as well. You get unifying the country, which I guess would qualify as democracy, and then poverty, hunger, homelessness. So one of the top 7 issues, people trusted Democrats more than Republicans, and so I don't know. I guess like I think like going forward, just looking at this, the most important problem, it's 100% accurate, and it makes sense for it to be. Just because people are going to vote for what they thought is for the biggest problem. In 2020, it was COVID, and people were asked who they trusted more to fix it, and they said Democrats, which again I found mind-boggling because Andrew Cuomo killed thousands of people in nursing homes, he just stuck sick people in there, and as several other blue governors did as well. But I guess that wasn't really reported by the media. Like I don't think most people even know that. So um, anyway, I do like I feel like the stock market's going to go up and then it'll backtrack a little bit because people are going to realize, hey, we're still in bad shape economically. Like it's going to take a little bit to turn things around. Like Trump's not going to like snap his fingers and fix everything. Like there's a lot of work to be done. But overall, the economy is going to be a much better in 2, 3, 4 years than it would have been with Kamala. Sandra says, so Ray over Kasicki, then probably been following your picks for years. Actually, no, I think I would go. Let me look at my rankings. My rankings aren't going to be updated for. Oh no, they are. They are. So Gesicki right now I have for 5 standard points and 9 PPR points, and then for McLeod I have let's see, I have for 5 and 11 fans. Okay, so yeah, so I do like Ray McLeod by a little bit. It's so close. But yeah, so yeah, good luck. I think both are good plays. I don't think you can go wrong here. Frizzle asking, you think Mixon for James Conner and Reed would be fine, or should I aim higher? I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, you're getting like I said, you're getting Connor back, who I love come playoff time, and then Jada Reed, who's going to be excellent. As long as Jordan Love's healthy. So I do like that trade. I don't know if you guys I don't know what you guys think about this, but I think that's pretty solid. Chris says, don't forget Queen Gretchen, the biggest hypocrite to ever rule over Michigan. Yep, she was one of them. So was Wolf in PA, although he had that guy Rachel. What was the PA Rachel person? I forget his name. Rachel Levine. Yeah, Rachel Levine. This is incredible what he did. So he got promoted to Assistant Secretary of Health for his work during the pandemic. What happened was like PA was one of the states that put sick people in nursing homes and like thousands of people died. Rachel Levine actually got his mom out of the nursing home and then put sick people in. So this wasn't like an accident. It's like, oops, I didn't know what we were doing. Like he actually got his mom out and did it. Like pure evil. And yeah, like these people are just monsters, man. They're absolutely disgusting people, and I hope they get what they have coming to them. So did the election push back your college picks? Yeah. Well, it's not the election per se, but being on last night for 4.5 hours, I just didn't get everything done that I needed to. And all the double whammy was that I had a dentist appointment this morning. I had to get my crown finally put in. Finally, I had to get my tooth extracted. Then I had to get a replacement tooth, and I had to go back because the last time I went, the crown didn't fit, so they had to change it, and so it's finally over. I get to stop going to the dentist for a while, and not for too long because I have to get a tooth out here on this side now because there's a hole in this tooth, and sometimes it really hurts. You have to eat on this side only. I can't eat on this side because, like I said, a hole in my tooth. It's I put my tongue in it. It's like it's pretty big. So that tooth has to go. But my dentist was like, yeah, when are you gonna get that out? Because it's like a ticking time bomb. And I'm like, yeah, I'm hopefully after the Super Bowl because I'm like, look, I know no disrespect. I like you, but I'm just kind of tired of being here all the time. So obviously on the show. So hopefully in 3 months I can get it removed. I don't have any issues. John said it's 2:30 for a toothbrush. Thank you so much, John. Actually, hold on here. I have this right here. He gave me this. It's actually so I have two crowns here. I have one for a fake tooth and a one for a real tooth. And he said that like the crowns for the fake teeth are they're shaped weirdly, and so food gets stuck in them. And he's like, yeah, you need a special brush to take care. So not only do I have to brush my teeth regularly, which I would do anyway, I have to do this in between this right here. So yeah, I'll be doing that for the first time tonight. So it's like this little tiny brush thing. I don't know, like zoom in a little bit here. It's like a super tiny toothbrush that has to fill in between the gaps there. So the first one was free, but he's like, yeah, you'll have to buy them eventually. But he's like, this is my gift to you. So he's a good guy. This says that maybe I could package Flowers and Smith to try to get someone like Neighbors. And now I go from Smith and Flowers to Reed and Neighbors has my receivers. I don't know, just spitballing. Yeah, I mean, like wheeling, dealing like that. That's, I mean, yeah, you could really improve your roster that way. Obviously, you need the people to accept your trades. I have, I don't think I've traded in fantasy football in like probably like 11 years. I do remember a trade in 2013 that I did because it was for backup quarterbacks. There's this guy who read the site. We had a draft party. So people from my forum on the site, they actually came to my house for a weekend. And we did a fantasy draft and then we just drank the whole time. Otherwise, it was a lot of fun. But we had that league and I drafted a backup quarterback. This other guy drafted a backup quarterback. And he offered me a trade to swap backup quarterbacks. He's like, this is kind of, it seems like a stupid trade, but both my quarterbacks had the same buy, so I wanted to change it up. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I accepted it. And I think that's the last trade I accepted in fantasy football because I play in a league, and Kenny can vouch for this. Like Kenny, when he's back on in 2 weeks from now, the weird offers that we get in this league are just unbelievable. Like I think I posted something on Twitter the other day where someone offered me Josh Jacobs for my Justin Jefferson, and I was like, how do I even respond to this? Like why would you even offer me that? And then a body burner who was on the show last night, he offered Kenny like he offered Kenny like or he offered Kenny Brock Bowers for like 6 players on Kenny's team, including Alvin Kamara and someone else I can't remember who, but and like Kenny was like actually like insulted by the trade, and he's like I really need to talk to Body Burner about this. Like I like it's so funny. But yeah, I don't trade that often, but yeah, I mean if you do, like yeah, you can really improve your roster. So yeah, I think that makes sense. And just says congratulations on your election results. We still have to wait a year for ours in Canada. Well, hopefully you get rid of Trudeau. He sucks, and I'm sure you agree. He's just so bad. So I don't know. I haven't followed politics at all in Canada. I don't know like if there's a real chance he's replaced, but he's just awful. He's an awful globalist. He needs to go. Now says no one cares about Canada. Well, I mean, they're our neighbors. It feels like we'd be better if they're better. But Dom says I traded CD and Stafford for Brees and Love. Who won? My team is now Love, Gibbs, Brees, London, Harrison, Cooper. Is that Brian Robinson or Bijan? I guess it's Brian Robinson. Mason, Doodle, 10-man. He traded CD and Stafford for Brees and Love. I'd much rather have Brees and Love. I mean, like first of all, CD's hurt. He may not play for a week or two, and then when he comes back, it's going to be Cooper Rush throwing to him. So I know Jordan Love's hurt too, but he's going to be back after the bye. And I mean, he played hurt last week, so he's still playing. No, I think you definitely won the trade. Sue says, John, the next time the Bills are down big at halftime, will McDermott motivate the team by telling them about the greatest presidential comeback ever? Yeah, that's I mean, the guy got shot. It was back in July, so 4 months ago. So it's incredible. I'm so glad the election went that way. But Canada's great at curling. That's very important. True question, Sue. The Bills are never down big at halftime. That's true. Although we will see in Week 11, the Bills and Chiefs game should be very interesting. The look ahead line right now is Chiefs -1 at Buffalo. That'll be a lot of fun to watch. Anyway, let's get to the next game here. We had Ravens 41, Broncos 10. What an embarrassment for the Broncos. Thought they might compete here, especially with Baltimore having a Thursday game coming up, but no, they got exposed as frauds. And I thought they were frauds, but I thought that Baltimore might be distracted having to play the Bengals coming up, but no, they were really focused, and they took it to the Broncos. Lamar Jackson was almost perfect. He looks like the MVP right now. Mahomes may have something to say about that, but he looks tremendous. Derrick Henry, he didn't have the best game. Like he was stuck in like mediocre yardage for a while, but then he broke a long gain. I think that 20-yarder that he had came late, and then he scored 2 touchdowns. He had 1 touchdown early, and then he scored another one later. Zay Flowers was incredible, 5 for 127 and 2 touchdowns. Like he's awesome. I try to get all the Zay Flowers I can in those best ball leagues. The Broncos, not much to say here outside of Sutton. Sutton continues to be great, although he plays the Chiefs this week, and the Chiefs tend to lock down number 1 receivers because they double team them a lot. So Sutton could see some regression. If you have Sutton, I think that you may want to trade him at this point, coming off like 2 really good games. All right. Chris says, I used to counter those ridiculously bad offers by swapping out the player they wanted for my kicker. It's a good idea. I think I should probably do them. I usually just ignore them. Eventually the dumb offers stopped mostly. John says, I like Goff. I like Goff as having a historical statistical run, but nobody's talking about him for MVP. I actually bet Goff to win MVP. I bet him at like plus 750. So I hope he gets it. But right now, I think it's either Jackson or Mahomes. I'd say Jackson, Mahomes right now, and then Goff. And then there's like a big gap. And then you probably have Josh Allen and then Jayden Daniels. I think that's how I'd round out the top 5. Chris says, I do have Sutton, and I have DK and Myers sitting on a bye, so I'm kind of stuck playing him what to do. It's tough. If you don't have any other options, I guess you have to, but who knows? They could lock him down for 3 quarters, and then he catches a garbage time touchdown. That could happen. I think there's going to be garbage time for Bo Nix in this game. So he is startable. Any number 1 receiver is startable, but it's just not a great option. A great matchup for him. There's a bias against pocket quarterbacks. It's true. I mean, they don't get the highlight crazy runs. That's definitely true. Chris says, you'd say Jackson Mahomes as MVP. I agree. After Patrick's idiot brother finally went away, the Chiefs have been unstoppable. That's true. What happened to that guy anyway? He was making videos, stupid videos, and then he just disappeared. Who knows what happened to him? Anyway, next game was Bengals 41, Raiders 24. This was a disaster of a game for the Raiders. Not nearly as close as the final score says. It was 31-10 Bengals, and then the Raiders had this weird pick 6 where Burrow just is throwing a short pass to the outside. The guy who intercepted it read the play perfectly and just pick 6'd it. He just jumped the route. And then the Raiders actually had a chance at the back door with Desmond Ridder, and he took a million sacks on that drive. And then Burrow found Gesicki for the win. I talked about Gesicki before. He plays the slot when Higgins is out and Higgins is doubtful. Chase Brown looks great, 27 for 120. Zach Moss is going to be out for a while. They traded for Khalil Herbert, but this backfield is all Chase Brown right now. So he looks great going forward. For the Raiders, Jacoby Myers looks good, 8 for 105. This is what we were counting on. I remember back in August, I was saying try to get Jacoby Myers in your fantasy drafts because there's a good chance Davante Adams is traded, and if Adams is traded, you have the number 1 receiver on an NFL team, which would be much better if the Raiders had anything decent at quarterback, but they don't. But still, despite Minshew playing like crap, Myers 8 for 105. This guy is really good in PPR leagues. And then you have Bowers 5 for 45, a touchdown. Bowers continues to look great. Again, it'd be great if he had a good quarterback, but that's not the case right now. I assume the Raiders are just going to draft a quarterback in April. Just we'll have to see who it is. Let's see here. What do we have here? Julian says trade away Dobbins and AJ Brown for Puka and Kenneth Walker. Um, I think like Brown and Puka are pretty close. I'd rather have Brown a little bit, and then you have Dobbins and Walker. I think they're close, and I think I'd rather have Walker. But something to keep in mind here is that Walker is the only guy who hasn't had a bye yet. Now it's right now. So maybe if you wait after this week, it makes sense. But yeah, you are getting gypped the game here if you trade for Walker. So it's a close trade. It's a close trade. I think like if you want to do it, go for it. But it's not like you're ripping the guy off or anything. It's super close. Um, it says if I remember correctly, the rumor was Patrick literally told Jackson to knock it off. Stop drawing negative attention to it. Hey, I don't blame him for that. I'd do the same thing. Chris says Ray McLeod's still sitting on waivers. Probably to pick him up in place of Sutton. Yeah, PPR, of course. Yeah, I wouldn't play him in standard, but yeah, PPR. I'd rather play McLeod than Sutton this week. Um, Jay Hangs asking start Stroud, Kirk, or Tua if Nico plays. Yeah, definitely start Stroud if Nico plays. Stroud's going to be back to normal. If not, then I would go. I think I'd go with Kirk, Kirk Cousins. So, yeah. Yeah, that's how I approach it. Andrew was saying, I think Jackson Holmes got himself into legal trouble kissing some girl at a bar or something. I had not heard that. But he does stupid dances. Maybe he does stupid things. Not that kissing girl at the bar is stupid, but who knows? I don't know the situation, but if he like forced himself on her, then that's what I'm talking about. All right, Redskins 27, Giants 22. So this game was not nearly as close as the score says. The Redskins led by 2 touchdowns multiple times. The Giants scored backdoor garbage time points. Like they almost covered. If they hit their 2-point conversions, they would have covered the spread, which would have tilted me even more than I was tilted last week. So Tyron Tracy continues in the backfield, 16 carries to 7 here. And so, yeah, I mean, Tyron Tracy looks like electric. I like him quite a bit. Malik Neighbors, 9 for 59. His numbers have decreased ever since Andrew Thomas got hurt because Daniel Jones doesn't have the time in the pocket. But he does have a favorable matchup this week against the Panthers. Like the Panthers can't pressure the quarterback, so Daniel Jones should be able to connect with Neighbors deep. Theo Johnson looked good, 3 for 51 and touchdown. He's so athletic. He's one of these tight ends I think is going to be like a viable like low end tight end one. In a year or two from now, probably next year. He's here to stay. Like he's pretty good. The Redskins, Brian Thomas was out, so Eckler was kind of a disappointment. He had the same number of carries as Chris Rodriguez, who he was the guy running out the clock at the end. And Rodriguez almost scored a touchdown. He like fell at the 1 yard line. And so if the Redskins were only up by 3 instead of 5, I would have been so angry about that. But luckily they covered the spread. Noah Brown continued off that Hail Mary for 5 for 60. Actually led the team in receiving, but McLaurin scored 2 touchdowns. So he had the best fantasy day, which is not a surprise. And Jaden Daniels continued to play well. I don't even think he was 100% for this game, but he continues to just run away with the Rookie of the Year award. Paul says Mark Cuban and Howard Stern are pretty much just losers. Yeah, I mean, especially Howard Stern, because like Howard Stern's like back in the day, he was always about like being anti-establishment, and like taking it to the man, or whatever. That's like the sort of people who listen to him, like the rebellious type. And like now he bent the knee. I don't know why. I don't know like if they have something on him or maybe he was just a loser the whole time or I don't know. It's kind of like Rage Against the Machine, which like you should call them Rage on behalf of the machine. Like all these like in the 90s, these people who were just anti-establishment, like rebellious people, they bent the knee so quickly. It's just so disappointing. Like really, I'd love to like talk to them and be like, why? Like what made you this way? Like why'd you bend the knee like this? And just like you like support the establishment. Like why? Like what happened to you? So yeah, I don't know. He lives in a liberal city, like he always did, though, right? I don't know. I don't know. It's so bizarre that like a lot of these like punk people who are like anti-establishment just bent the knee. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, another one. Yeah, he did blackface on the Man Show, like one of those interviews, right, with Carl Malone. And then now like he's super pro government for everything. He's one of these bend the knee type of people. Yeah, exactly. Chris says Stern has turned into the very man he hated, Don Imus. Yeah, yeah, absolutely true. Yeah. So yeah, it's really disappointing. And I brought this up a lot. It's like, like John says, he lives in a liberal city. It's funny that like, and I mentioned this on the show last night. If I told you guys 8 years ago that in one group you had Tulsi Gabbard, you had RFK, and you had Elon Musk, the EV guy, and on the other in another group you had Dick Cheney, you had Liz Cheney, you had Adam Kinzinger, and I was like, which group is the Republicans, which group is the Democrats? Like 8 years ago, you were like, oh, obviously it's the Cheney and Kinzinger is the Republican, and then like Elon, Tulsi, and RFK are Democrats, and like it's just like no, it's completely flipped. And I think the Democratic and Republican Party of old are gone. I think they're completely gone. I think the two factions now are pro-America populist, which that's Trump, and then it's like globalist, globalist elitists. Like Kamala was the puppet for them, and yeah, so it's a great thing that Trump won. Um, are you looking to cook up a singing parlay for Thursday Night Football? Yeah, absolutely. I have some ideas floating around. I love Gesicki. I haven't looked at the numbers yet, but in my head, I love Gesicki. I love Zay Flowers. I don't like the running backs. Both running backs have, well, especially Chase Brown. I don't like Chase Brown at all. I feel like Derrick Henry's going to get like stacked boxes, just not going to do much. Jamar Chase, I'm a little concerned about because he generally like doesn't produce as well as normal with Higgins out. So like Chase had a monster game in the first time. So I think like people are going to bet him over, and I assume his yardage number is going to be so high. I don't think I can quite get there. But like something interesting would be like Chase under receiving yards with Burrow over, because that would give you a better vig, just because it's negatively correlated. But I will have plays, even though I'm a little bit behind. I will have everything done by midday tomorrow. Chris says, I think Stern has always kind of sucked, though, as always desperate to be accepted by the A-listers. That's fair. I was never like a huge Stern fan. Like I never like talked radio anyway, like because especially in the morning when like going to high school, we had a carpool, and whenever I was actually I'm Nifrol's dad, who Nifrol was on this show last night. Whenever his dad would drive us into school, he would listen to Stern, and I was like, can we just listen to music instead? I never said it. I was like, well, I always thought like, man, I'd rather just listen to music instead. Whereas like if my mom drove, like we'd listen to music, but yeah, I just never liked the talk radio in the morning. I guess like I've changed now. I'd probably like that more now, but like when I was a kid, I was like, let me just listen to music than people talking. John says he had Trump on the show at least 5 times. It might be something personal. Could be, yeah. You never know. It could absolutely be. Pharaoh says, should I deal Joe Mixon? A lot of people trying to offload Mixon. Should I deal Mixon and Tyrone Tracy for Breece Hall and Jaden Reed? I think I'd rather have Mixon and Tracy. It's worth noting none of these players have had their bye yet. But no, I'd rather have Mixon and Tracy. I maybe I should look at the playoff schedules, but let's do that. So Texans playoff schedule. Texans schedule. Let's look at the Texans schedule. So they have Dolphins, Chiefs, and Ravens. So that is kind of tough. Dolphins not tough at all, but then Chiefs and Ravens, that's very difficult. So I can make if that's why you want to offload Mixon, I could see it. Giants they have Ravens, Falcons, Colts. So it's the opposite. Like the first tough game and then two easier ones. Um, so that's not too bad. If you can get past the first round, especially if you have a first round bye, that's pretty good. And then Jets schedule, you mentioned Brees Hall. Um, see what they have at the end. It's Jaguars, Rams, Bills. It's like isn't that easy? It sounds easy, but the Jaguars are better against the run than the pass. And then the Rams. The Rams are okay against the run. They're like actually I think they're pretty decent if I remember correctly. Yeah. Actually, they rank they rank sixth against the run, but they're worse against receiving backs. Brees Hall could get there as a receiver. Um, yeah, it's not like you're trading for a guy with a better playoff schedule with Brees. But I get like Mixon's playoff schedule is so brutal, so I get it. Um, I think you could do better though than this. Like Mixon and Hall aren't that far apart. Like in the best ball draft I did tonight. Um, where's Brees Hall? Let me try to find him. Um, here it is. So why don't I just pull it up for you guys? I don't know if this will work. You guys can see. I think this is constructive for the drafts next year. You guys can like see where these guys are going. Keep in mind though, the guys who've had their buy already have a premium, so they're going to go earlier than you think. So like this was the draft. Let me see if you guys can see this. Yeah, you guys can see it pretty well. So this is where everyone went tonight. So this is my team, by the way. I took St. Brown, AJ Brown, Aaron Jones. I went heavy at receiver because that's how I like to do it because what I like to do is go two running backs semi early. So I went like Rico Dowdle, Aaron Jones. By the way, everyone had their buy already. Buy. You can see like my strategy there. So I like to have like two starting running backs, and then I take flyers elsewhere. Like late, I go Zach Charbonnet, Kamani Vidal, Jalen Wright. I think there was one more. Oh, Tech Bigsby, yeah. I take like flyers late at running back. But I like to like go receiver heavy early because you have to start three receivers and two running backs. Anyway, my point here is you have Mixon here at 110, and then you have Brees Hall here at 302. And both have not had their buy, so it's not like Mixon's going early for that reason. So you are so based on your trade proposal, you have Mixon and Tracy. So I think Tracy went in the fifth round. Let me see. Yeah, Tracy was 504. So you're trading 110 and 504 for 302 and where's let's see where Reed is and 503. So what does that tell us? So you could actually cancel out Tracy and Reed. They both go in the same spot, and then you're trading. So you're basically trading Mixon for Hall, and Mixon went end of first round. Hall went early third round. So I don't think you're getting good value there. So I'll just leave this stuff here for now if you guys want to look at it. But like I said, I think this is cool to see like where guys are going right now because this will reflect sort of where guys will go in the draft next year. Although I don't know what this Jaden Daniels 109 guy was smoking. Sometimes you get like some very bad drafters here. Like this guy M Botting, he took a tight end at 305 and then 505. I know you can play one of flex, but still, like I don't like. Why would you draft two tight ends early? Like the upside's not there with them. So anyway, let's see here. What else do we have? Bray Rock asking, would you rather have Devontae Adams or Garrett Wilson? Yeah, actually talked about this earlier. I think I'd rather have Wilson. It's close though, but I think Adams opens things up for Wilson. Wilson's younger. He has more of a rapport with Rodgers right now, which is weird because Adams and Rodgers played together for so long. But they did have like a couple of years off together. So I think I like I said, I'd rather have Wilson, but it's close. Yeah, John agrees. Rather Wilson. Mike says it's big government, socialist, globalist, deep state system, elite versus small government, populist, capitalist, working middle class. There are no more traditional party lines. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah, it's 100% accurate. And like I said before, when I turned on CNN last night after our show was over, um, I just laughed at these old people on the show who are like the Democratic Party needs to figure out what they did wrong here. I'm like, there is no more Democratic Party. Like you boomer, like they're gone. The Republican Party of old is gone too. They're both gone. It is, as Mike said, big government, socialist, globalist, deep state, elite versus small government, populist, capitalist, working middle class. That's what it is right now. And Trump represents the latter, who are struggling with the economy and the border, and that's why he won. And it's not like I said before. The woman on the show is like Kamala totally would have won if she's single. If she was straight white man, it's like no, she wouldn't have. Her says, all right, thanks a lot. I was conflicted, but I think I'll take your advice. Keep mixing. Okay, well, good luck. Like I said, Mixon is a tough schedule, so if you want to try to trade him at some point, it makes sense. But I'd rather have Mixon anyway. All right, so let's get to the next game here. If you guys want to see this again, let me know. But anyway, we have Bills 30, Dolphins 27. This is the last of the early games. Josh Allen was super safe in this game, threw a lot of short passes. He did have a pick, but 25-39, 235, and 3 touchdowns. Otherwise, he didn't run that much. Two scrambles, 7 yards. This goes with what he said last year when he said, I'm going to run less early on and then run more in games that matter most. So we can see him run more next week against the Chiefs. I could definitely see that. Come playoff time, I think he's going to use his legs. But right now, you're just not going to see it. And so the upside for fantasy isn't quite there, which has to disappoint anyone who took him in the 3rd round or earlier, just because you're not getting the upside. So Khalil Shakir continues to be super consistent. He's always like 6 or 7 catches for 50 to 70 yards. Like that's what he's done like every single week this year. It's pretty remarkable. Coleman didn't do much. It seemed like he was doing better when Amari Cooper was there. Cooper was out this game, so I wonder if that had something to do with it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Cooper's status is right now, but like Keon Coleman, I think that like you almost like want Cooper to be there, even though it takes targets away from him. But like oddly, like it's so weird that like Cooper's status or presence on the field actually helps Coleman. For the Dolphins, it's all Hill and HN. That's it. HN continues to get so many receptions. He had 8 catches, 58 yards, and touchdown. We bet his over receiving yards, and I'm going to keep doing it. Especially this week against the Rams. But like Tua has just like no time to throw at all, and he just releases the ball super quickly. So he just continues to pepper HN with targets, and Hill is going to get there. Jalen Waddle just struggles. You have to feel bad for anyone who started Waddle because he had like 20 like I want to say like 27 yards and a touchdown, which is like not terrible. But then he lost 23 yards on the final play, which is just kind of like lateral passes and stuff. So that was a feel bad moment, I guess. Raheem Mostert fumbled again. He's fumbled a lot this year. I actually thought he might get traded at the deadline, but they kept him. But he after he fumbled, I don't think he played that much. Jalen Wright came on. Jalen Wright's a guy I've been trying to target late in best ball because if HN goes down, like suddenly Jalen Wright's going to look great. Yeah. So anyway, Sue says the now uncontrollable X platform is driving them insane. Yeah, that they really hated that. They like that was so crucial. Elon buying Twitter and then obviously X now. Like having like Twitter hid the Hunter Biden story. Now you can't do that anymore. Like and it's great that you can say anything you want on X and it just goes like no one cares. And it's just great that you have that sort of freedom. Whereas like it's funny, I forget who brought it up last night, but someone said that the stuff that Elon posts, like he would have been banned, like under Jack Dorsey's Twitter. Ray asking, where did the 20 million votes go that Biden has last election? He won 80 million, 63 million, the popular vote. Now Trump won 65 to 60 million. So what happened in the 2020 election is that a lot of votes came in super late. And now the Republicans, like they caught on to that. And they had the surveillance at the drop boxes and stuff like that. So the Democrats couldn't flood just the ballot boxes with like fake votes. That's basically what happened, and like a lot of the votes came in from like vacant buildings and parking lots. Like Steven Crowder did a great video on that, where like he and like a bunch of his workers went to like a bunch of the addresses from these ballots that came in, and like they were vacant buildings, their parking lots, their alleyways. Like one was an underpass in Las Vegas. Like it's just so many like fake votes that came in. Like there's no way Biden had 81 million votes. Like I can't believe like anyone would think that. Like no, like who's gonna vote 81 million votes for a corpse? Like this guy couldn't even hold rallies at a high school gym. Like no one's voting for this guy. Now, obviously, there was an anti-Trump sentiment. There really was. And like I said, the Gallup poll worked. Like people were worried about COVID for some reason. They thought Democrats would do a better job. So yeah, like I think like you can argue that Biden could have won the election, but I still think that if the election was fair in 2020, that Trump would have won. But it would have been super close. Like if none of these shenanigans happen. Coleman might be out for a while with his wrist injury. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I didn't look at the injury reports yet. Cooper's probably coming back this week. Okay, interesting. Thanks, John. McDaniel called a really smart game against the Bills defense, as McDermott's scheme always takes out the outside receivers. It pains me to say that, or to read that McDaniel had a smart game plan, because he was so bad when Tua was out. He was atrocious. Those two games where Alec Ingold out-touched Tyreek Hill plus Jalen Waddle, not just one of them, but both of them. That has to go into like the Hall of Fame of coaching incompetence. Mike says, my favorite part of last night was watching the corrupt legacy media. For example, ABC had a 9-person panel. They all looked like they were lining up for the Bataan Death March. Yeah, so I'm kind of sad that I had fun doing the show last night, but I'm sad that I didn't get to watch it. I probably should have DVR'd it. It was that would have been amazing to watch. I wonder if you can see that on YouTube or something. John says MSNBC had huge rating spike when Trump became the favorite to run. Everyone loves watching a meltdown. Yeah, that is great. Like I said, I did turn on CNN when the show was over. There's about 15 million votes to count. Yeah, Arizona's only 67%. There's so much corruption in Arizona. Like the 2020 primaries, they had the ballot was like, the paper was just like it was either like too big or too small for the machine, and they couldn't fit into the machine, and like they couldn't like count a lot of votes properly, and so like judges even looked at it, and like they're like, yeah, there's definitely some malfeasance here, but they just dismissed it. So there's just so much corruption in Arizona, it's ridiculous. Like thank goodness we're not waiting on Arizona right now, because we'd be waiting for a long time. It's only 67% in. Like think about like how corrupt that is. Like it's only 67% in. Like every other state is counted except for Nevada too. Like there's some shady stuff going in Nevada as well, but I don't know why they just don't call Nevada. Like really, incompetence, and some shenanigans as well. Anyway, so the next game is Rams 26, Seahawks 20. This went to overtime, and what's his name? Puka Nacua got ejected for throwing a punch, which had to upset some people. Cooper Kupp, with Nacua gone, went nuts, 11 for 104. Demarcus Robinson once again 6 for 94 and 2 touchdowns. It's so funny that Demarcus Robinson did nothing when both guys were out, and then now that they're in, he's doing a lot. I think it just goes to show you that, like what I was saying before, when like certain receivers are out, like people expect other receivers to do better. Like that's not always the case. Like, when Demarcus Robinson was the number one receiver, like teams could just lock him down. But now he's the 2 or the 3, like with Nakua out, he was the 2. Like suddenly he's able to do a lot more because he's not getting the best coverages. So yeah, Demarcus Robinson, he's I don't think you can like play him reliably, but like if you're in a jam in a deep league, then like that's fine. But yeah, it just Cup and Nakua here. Kyron Williams, disappointing game, 22 for 69 against the soft Seattle run defense. That's kind of surprising. And he only caught one pass too. Kenneth Walker also didn't have a great running game, like 25 for 83. It's not terrible, but he did catch 3 passes for 24, and then Charbonnet had 2 for 25. So that's what I was talking about with like the Rams stopping receiving backs. Combined, those guys were 5 for 59. So I do like the receiving backs against the Rams. So that's going to be HN. That's going to be our play, I think, for the player prop bet on Monday night. Jackson Smith and Jigba had an awesome game, 7 for 180, 2 touchdowns. Really cool to see him, just ball out with DK Metcalf out. Now Metcalf's going to come back after the bye, but it has to be encouraging going forward for him. Anyway, Sue says the favorite moment last night is when John King showed the viewers all the counties when Kamala outperformed Biden. He touched the screen, and the entire map went gray. 0 counties. That's great. Yeah, she definitely underperformed everywhere. It's it's crazy that so many people voted for Biden. I think they were just expecting normalcy. I think that Nifrel said it last night. He's like, yeah, a lot of people just thought they were going to get like a normal like presidency under Biden, but that didn't happen. And I think people learned the lesson. And I want to credit my dad for saying this. Like my dad, he votes for Trump. He has 3 Trump signs in his front yard. But he's like, you know what? He's like, as bad as these past 4 years have been, he's like, it's probably for the best that Biden won, because people got to see how bad Democrat rule is, and it might lead to a lot more Trump, and then maybe JD Vance after him. So it could maybe we had to take in these horrible 4 years to have prosperity afterward, which is a shame. But I think that is a good point. Would you trade DK for Mike Evans? I mean, Mike Evans may not play till week 12, right? I think his bye is week 11, and Metcalf is going to come back week 11. And like they're pretty comparable players. Maybe you'd rather have Evans by a little bit, but they're pretty close. And you're going to get more games from Metcalf. You're going to get him in week 11. Oh, I guess you're going to get him for only one more game, but still. I'd rather have him for that one more game. DK's on a bye. Evans will probably be back next week, I think. I heard he's going to be out till week 12, because week 11 is their bye. So they might hold him out this week, and then next week they have their bye, and then I assume he'd be back week 12. So that's what I heard. So we'll see. Yeah, week 10 they play the Niners. Week 11 is their bye. Week 12 they play the Giants. So I will say that I think Metcalf's Evans' schedule is a lot better for the playoffs. They play Dallas week 16 and they play Carolina week 17. It doesn't get any better than the Panthers in week 17. So if you wanted to trade him for that reason, I could see it. And I believe Seattle's schedule is much tougher in the playoffs. Seattle's schedule is Green Bay, which has Jair Alexander, Minnesota, and Chicago. It's like those are 3 good teams against the pass. So if you wanted to take that risk, you could do it. Like the risk is that Evans like may not come back healthy, but I think that schedule wise, it might be worth it. What about Wilson or Puka or Evans? For Evans. Wilson and Puka for Evans. I mean, I like. I was saying or not now. what's the Rams schedule like? Let's see. Because we already looked at the Jets schedule. Rams have they have the Niners, Jets, and Cardinals. Niners, Jets is pretty tough. So um, I don't think I'd go for Nakua. But the more I think about it, the more Evans makes sense. Like maybe wait until like after week 11 to do it, because at least you'll have Metcalf for the one game. So yeah, you could wait on the trade. The Jets, by the way, have their passing as Jacksonville, Rams, and Bills. That Jaguars game looks great, but then you have Rams and Bills, which is tougher. So um, I would wait until week 11's done and then do the trade if you can. Todd Bowles not going for two was one of the dumbest decisions this year. Yeah, that was. I don't get it. I like why wouldn't you just go for the win? Like first of all, you're gonna risk giving the ball back to Mahomes. Like that's stupid enough anyway. Second, it's a long season. Your team is banged up, and you're gonna go to overtime. Like why? And you're gonna be a short week. Like just don't do that. Just go for two. Right, so anyway, we have Cardinals 29, Bears 9. This was a weird game because it started like raining heavily and then hailing during this game. Like Arizona had to close the roof, but it closed so slowly that like it still allowed the rain and the hail to come in. And Charles Davis was on the broadcast, and he like I do make fun of him a little bit on the site, but I think he's a great color analyst. He said that that Arizona had a huge advantage in this game because they were at home because they had their cleats with them, whereas the Bears didn't bring their like rain slippery field cleats with them to Arizona, and so Arizona just took it to Chicago pretty easily. So yeah, James Conner just ran the ball down Chicago's throat. Like the announcers even joked, they're like this is not the same play. They're doing these are different plays. It's not like on a loop. James Conner ran all over them. So did Amari DiMercado, and so did Trey Benson. Like these guys just ran the ball down Chicago's throat. It was pretty impressive. Trey McBride looked good, only 3 for 35, but I thought he looked better like on tape than he did in the numbers. Although Harrison only 2 for 34, which is a disappointment. For the Bears, DJ Moore had this like weird instance where he kind of like sat out of play, like even though he wasn't injured, and then he came back. It was just very strange. And then like he stopped running around on one play. Like he just didn't look like he was trying very hard. Keenan Allen dropped several passes, only 4 for 36. Looked like Odunze was the only guy playing. He went 5 for 104. I think that this was a byproduct of the Hail Mary loss, and I think they were a little flat off that loss. So not that it's an excuse, but maybe a reason for why they were just so flat in this game. I think they're going to be a lot better next week against New England. I'd be surprised if they don't bounce back. Let's see. John says the same people that control the roof control the mail-in ballots. Yeah, it's a good call. Anyway, Eagles 28, Jaguars 23. This was a 22-0 game, and then Nick Sirianni bungled some in-game decisions. He had this weird decision making where he was up 6 in the fourth quarter, and he could have had a chance to kick a field goal. I think it was like 45 yards or something, and he passed on it and he went for it, and they didn't get the first down. And it was not like a tush push or anything. It was like 4th and 3 or 4th and 4. Like he could have extended the lead to two scores. So all right, fine. He goes for it, doesn't get it. Probably a mistake, but whatever. But later in the fourth quarter, he's up 5, and he tries to kick a field goal to go up 8, and it's the field goal is from like 57 yards. So he passed on a shorter field goal to go from 6 to 9, which is 2 scores. But he kicked the field goal to go from 5 to 8, which is still 1 score. Just didn't make any sense at all. Of course, the field goal missed. 28-23, the Eagles don't cover the spread, where that kick would have covered. So pretty tilting if you had the Eagles. I didn't bet the Eagles. If I had them, I'd be pretty upset. Saquon Barkley, I don't need to tell you that he looked amazing in this game with that backward hurdle. DeVonta Smith took over for A.J. Brown. He did all the work. A.J. Brown got hurt. It was a weird thing. Like he got hurt. I guess at the end of the second quarter, because he came out of the tunnel after halftime, and then before even taking the field, he went back into the tunnel. So I don't really understand that, but like, yeah, he's day to day, so there's a decent chance he could play this week. Although, part of me worries that I say worries because I have him in well, first of all, a bunch of best ball, but also in two of my three leagues. Um, Part of me worries that like they're going to hold him out because they play on Thursday, so just to make sure he doesn't like aggravate the injury. But he was limited in practice, so um, I'd be more worried if he's DNP in practice, but he was limited, so there's a chance he can play. We'll see. I think he might push to come back, but like I said, if they hold him out, I wouldn't be too shocked. And then for the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, he struggled for a while, but then he had, he had some good drives in the fourth quarter. Evan Ingram, the best receiver here. I love Evan Ingram for the rest of the year because he and Christian Kirk run the same routes. And then like Kirk is out, so it's going to be mostly Ingram, 5 for 45. Not even a great matchup against the Eagles, who are like usually pretty decent against tight ends. So he's going to have much better games going forward. And then Travis Etienne saw more action than Bigsby in the first half, but then like he was barely seen in the second half. He dropped the pass in the first half, and then the pass led to an interception, and then he wasn't. He barely played in the second half. So I don't know what Doug Peterson's doing. Like, he just seems so inept. So the Jaguars are going to be a lot better when he moves on. Bray asking, how would you rank DK, Wilson, and Puka 1 to 3? Is that for this week or going for the rest of the season? So just let me know. He also says I can do DK, James Cook, and either Mooney or Josh Downs for CD and Evans right now. So I mean, CD is hurt and he won't have Dak, so like, I would like gladly offload him. Or are you saying you're going to trade for CD? I would not want to trade for CD. Let me know which side you are, because I would rather have DK side here. And you said you were going to trade for Evans, so yeah, I would not want to get CD because it's Cooper Rush, and he's injured. So like you're getting two injured players here. You're giving up James Cook or one of those guys. I wouldn't do this trade. So rest of the season, DK, Wilson, and Puka. I think I would go. Puka, Wilson, DK. I think just because DK's schedule is so tough at the end. It's close between them. I think Puka's number one, and then Wilson, DK is close. Let's see. Sirianni had money on the Jags. If he did, this is how he would play it, right? Like get up early, 22-0. Make sure people don't talk about it, and then have this like mysterious backdoor cover for the Jaguars. That's how you do it, right? That's how you draw it up. Drop the sub. Thank you so much, Bray. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on here. All right, so we have Lions 24, Packers 14. This game was played in a heavy downpour, heavy winds, not heavy winds, like 15-mile-an-hour winds. So Jordan Love didn't use gloves for some reason, which like the broadcasting crew talked about. I think it was Tom Brady who criticized Jordan Love for not wearing gloves. And so yeah, he had that. He couldn't run. Like that interception that he had, like pretty much turned the game around, because he like couldn't scramble out of pressure. And so he tried to move, but he couldn't, and then he threw a pass that got picked. And then there was one instance before halftime where he threw the ball way downfield, and it was complete, but he couldn't run to spike the ball. Like he was like limping around, and so the half just ended. And so like Jordan Love should not have played this game. It was a huge mistake. Now maybe they wouldn't have won with Malik Willis, but still they lost anyway. And like Jordan Love risked aggravating the injury even more so. I know they had the bye, so he can rest now. Like why not rest them ahead of the bye and like have them 100% in week 11? Just I don't get these coaching decisions sometimes. Like these quarterbacks try to come back and like be a hero off a bye, and it just never works. Like they always either lose or get more injured. So I'm kind of reminded of Robert Griffin. Remember, he tried to come back early. Like those commercials were like all in for week 1, coming off the torn ACL, and like he just made it worse. Like I get it. Like it's commendable that they try to return early. Like you want to respect it, but it's a stupid decision, and they should be talked into just resting and trying to be 100%. For the Lions, they ran all over the Packers. Not a surprise. The Packers not good against the run, so Montgomery and Gibbs were great. St. Brown, another good matchup for him. The Packers pretty bad against slot receivers, so 756 and a touchdown. Laporta continues to do nothing, two for 28. I don't expect that to change. He might have a spike week or two, but overall, I don't think he's going to do all that well, and it'll continue to be a disappointment. Javier says traded Reed and Swift for Debo. Team is now Purdy, Taylor, Brees, St. Brown, Kupp, Laporta, Hunt, Harrison, Pollard, Brian Robinson, and Njoku. Evans feels like my team is complete. Rate the team, and I just dropped the sub. Thank you so much for subbing, Javier. So I mean, this team looks great. I don't know if it's like 10 or 12 team league, but it looks like, I mean, at running back, you have Taylor and Brees Hall. I mean, that's fantastic 1-2 punch. Purdy's solid. And then you got Debo, right? So you got the Purdy to Debo connection, which is awesome. Laporta, I think, is like your one weakness there. But you have Njoku, and I love Njoku the rest of the year. So, you're not really hurting a tight end. St. Brown, Kupp, fantastic. This is like, I brought up the best ball draft that I did. And I've done a bunch of them, but like Taylor is going like third round, Brees is third round, St. Brown's first round, Kupp is second round. And you have like, and Brian Robinson's fifth round, Pollard's fifth round, Njoku's sixth round. You have your team looks awesome. I grade this an A+. So good job with this team. Sue says if Sirianni went to the casino, he would play the game, the biggest house advantage like Keno because he is a blockhead. Yeah, he would do stupid stuff. They should actually do they should have like a camera crew following him around at the casino. Like he'd make like all the worst EV moves. I think that'd be pretty hilarious. Cassandra says, assuming health, would you start Jalen McMillan or Parker Washington? I think I'd start Parker Washington. The Minnesota is not that good against slot receivers, so I think Washington, but it's not like it's two bad options, I think. But I actually wrote up. I didn't post my DraftKings picks yet, but I actually did write up Parker Washington at 3,900. I don't know if I want to play him, but he is someone to consider, I guess. Who's the better QB stream this week, Purdy or Darnold? I like Purdy a lot this week against Tampa. Tampa has such a pass funnel defense. They're really good against the run when Vea is healthy, and they're so bad against the pass. We just saw like Mahomes, who's been so mediocre as a fantasy quarterback this year, just had his best fantasy performance against Tampa. He had 24 fantasy points, whereas like he usually scores like 17 to 19, and so he exceeded that by 5 points. And then Purdy, Debo should be healthy. Yes, Kittle, Juwan Jennings should be healthy. He has McCaffrey to help in the red zone. I'd worry a little bit about McCaffrey siphoning touchdowns, but I do like Purdy more. Sue says Lions 7-1 against the spread. Only game they didn't cover. They outgained the Bucks about 2-1. Care to rethink that Texans play Walter Football? If Collins is out, I will certainly rethink it. Now, so the Lions 3.5, and the Lions at Minnesota, they won by 2, so they would not have covered the spread. And I view Houston and Minnesota to be pretty comparable. So I think the line's a little too high. I think the line's about 2.5. Evan mentioned it on the show yesterday. He said that now that the lines are covering everything, you have to pay a tax on them now. But, you used to have to do that. The Patriots with Tom Brady, and like now the line probably should be 2.5. Or maybe even 3, but you have to pay 3.5 now, which I believe is still the case. I haven't looked at the spreads recently. Yeah, 3.5. It's still 3.5. Actually, 3.5 minus 115 bet online. Yeah, it's all over the place for the big, but yeah, it's still minus 3.5. So I think the line's a little too high. Now keep in mind that you said the lines are 7-1 against the spread, and yeah, it's a great record, but you have to ask yourself what what are they going to be in the next 8 games, rather than what were they in the past 8 games. I think that people get into trouble with like trends and stuff like that. You see a trend, you're like, oh, Team X is 15, or here's a perfect example. So people have been citing this spread, or this trend a lot to me, and I really don't get it. They're like, oh, every like teams after playing the Lions this year are they were what, or 0-8 against the spread or whatever it was, and I'm like why is that? Like it's like what is the record going to be in the next 8 games? Is it also going to be an 0-8? Is it going to go to 0-16? Is it going to be like 2-6? Or is it going to be like probably 4-4? What it probably would be. Like I really don't see something that that continues. And I ask people this, and like some people get tripped up by it. I'm like, I always find it funny. I'm like, all right, so like what? So if you flip a coin, and you go heads, 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 you flip 6 heads in a row. I'm like, when you flip the 7th time, what are the odds that you're going to get heads? And obviously the answer is 50-50. But some people go, oh, they flipped heads 6 times in a row. Probably, I don't know, like 90%. like no, it's like doesn't make sense. Like these trends, I think that are somewhat misleading, and it goes to show that the lines of 7-1 against the spread. And it's because people undervalue them. Like people didn't rate the lines correctly, but now they are. Like people recognize the Lions as one of the best teams in the NFL. So I don't think you're going to have that same advantage with them covering, as you did early in the year. Like I'd be pretty shocked if in the next 8 games they're also 7-1 against the spread. I think they're going to trip up a little bit here and there. Like they're going to have like a game that we saw last week on Thanksgiving when they lost to the Packers. Now, I do think that there's a better chance that they're going to have a winning record than a losing record because they're a good team. Like if they in the next 8 games, I think the most likely result's probably like 5-3 against the spread. But I do think that they're in a bad spot here against Houston, coming off a big win in the division against the Packers, and then having to play on the road against a good team that might be getting its receiver back. But again, if Collins is out, then I probably will switch to the Lions just because Houston's offense without Collins is just so much worse. Sanchez, the problem with that line stat is that people are reverse engineering it. They say teams are 0-8 against the spread after playing Detroit because Detroit's so physical on defense. They really aren't. They're looking for a cause and effect and came up with the wrong cause. That's not a physical defense. Yeah, you're 100% correct. Like that's basically data mining. You can go on Killer Sports, which I always bring up here. Let me give them a shout out. Killersports.com. You can type in any query you want, and like you can get like this amazing trend. It's like 21-2 against the spread or something like that. Like you can like data mine it and be like, wow, this is amazing. If I just follow this, I'm gonna be 22-1 or 21-2 in my next 23 games. And that's not gonna happen. Like you're just just fluke circumstances, and you're trying to like come up with a justification for why that is the case. And like you said, Cassandra, that's exactly what people are doing. Like, yeah, the Lions are super physical, and like there's no reason for that to continue at all. Like, I'd be shocked if it's 0-8 again. So if like it's probably more likely that it's 8-0 like these teams, just because it makes no sense. Plus, what's going to happen is like the sportsbooks are going to hear this trend. They're going to know about it, obviously, and then they're going to price it up a little bit because people are going to bet on it, and so you're going to get a worse number. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Sue says trends. Teams going into bye were 6-4 straight up prior last week. What happened to the 4 teams going into bye last week? They went 0-4 straight up. Trends. exactly. Trends are so dangerous because they look great. It's like sounds awesome. You're like 21-2 against the spread. Like wow, that's awesome. That like just doesn't mean much. Now there are like certain cases where trends make sense. Like teams heading into Thursday night are awful, but you can justify that because the teams are looking ahead. Or the Jaguars so far. This is only 2-game sample size. Jaguars are 2-0 against the spread in their second consecutive London game. It makes sense because they have like the body clock adjusted. Like there are some circumstances where it's illogical, but like saying that Lions are super physical, so teams can't cover after them. I don't think that makes any sense. Nothing wrong with fluke circumstances. Exactly. Augusto says running backs Hall, Kamara, Chase Brown, Dobbins, Hunt, Chubb. Receivers London, Lamb, Ridley, Jennings, tight end Bowers, and Hawkinson. Would you do Dobbins for Reed or Hunt for DJ Moore? Dobbins for Reed or Hunt for DJ? Okay. I think I'd rather have Dobbins than Reed. It's close though. Look at your receivers. I can see why you want a receiver just because Lamb is injured. So you're pretty. You're pretty deep at running back. I think you could do that trade if you want for Dobbins and Reed. I think that I'd rather have Dobbins, but it's super close, and you need a receiver, so it makes sense. And then or Hunt for DJ Moore. I would much rather do that because Isaiah Pacheco is going to come back in 2 or 3 weeks, and once he does, Hunt is going to be useless. So yeah, if you could do Hunt for DJ Moore, definitely do that. Santiago says I'm 3 and 6. Quarterbacks Burrow, running backs Henry, Jacobs, and Mostert. Receivers Tyreek, Evans, DK, Zay, and DeAndre Hopkins. Tight end Ingram. What should I do? Any trades? Let's see here. Your receiving core has been enhanced with Hopkins. That's hurt with Evans being injured right now. And I can see why you're 3 and 6 because Tyreek didn't have Tua. But Tyreek has Tua now, so he should do better. Metcalf's going to come back after this bye week. Evans is going to come back in 2 weeks. Zay Flowers is awesome. Hopkins, he looked great Monday night. I think you need some running back that Henry and Jacobs are fine. But Jacobs has his bye this week. Henry is going to have his bye soon. So you're going to be in trouble at running back. I think you could maybe you could sell high on Hopkins right now because maybe someone's very impressed by what he did Monday night, and then trade him for a running back. I think that's what I would do. And keep this in mind. I think there is some worry here for Hopkins and any other Chiefs player. If the Chiefs keep winning, if the Chiefs beat the Bills and keep winning by week 17, they could be sitting their starters. That's the fantasy championship. So you may not even have Hopkins for that fantasy championship. It's a possibility. It may not happen. They could get tripped up like they did on Christmas last year against the Raiders. They could lose a game or two. But if they keep winning, they may just sit their starters. I would try to offload Hopkins after that great game. Even though I do like him going forward, I just think that you could sell high right now on him. Chris says the Niners had the same trend a year or 3 years ago where teams lost after playing him. Only that didn't make sense because the defense annihilated teams. Yeah, I wonder how it is now though. I assume it's not good or just probably 500. That's it tends to regress to the mean. Anyway, so let's go to the Sunday night game. Vikings 21, Colts 13. This was a huge disappointment if you had the Colts plus 5.5 because they had the ball over midfield. It was 14-10, 5 minutes left. They had a 3rd and 2 at the Minnesota 40. They take Jonathan Taylor off the field. They throw a pass, incomplete. 4th down, Taylor nowhere to be found. They take him off the field. They still have him off the field. Flacco throws a pass to Ashton Dulin. Ashton Dulin had no catches the entire game. He has Josh Downs. He has Michael Pittman Jr. He even has Alec Pierce. He has Donnie Mitchell, and of course Jonathan Taylor. And he goes to Ashton Dulin, incomplete, predictably. And then the Vikings score a touchdown 3 minutes later, and they cover the spread. So frustrating. It's just I don't know. Shane Steichen needs an intervention or something. But Josh Downs, he looks. He continues to look like the best receiver. Michael Pittman is dealing with the back injury. He's not 100%. So he'll eventually get there. But right now, I'd much rather have Josh Downs. It's a tough matchup. Coming up in week 11, I know they have the Jets. This week they have the Bills. The Bills are weaker to slot receivers than outside receivers. So Josh Downs should have one decent game, but next week against the Jets, it'll be a tough matchup for the Colts. The Vikings, Sam Darnold, it's a weird game. He made some great plays, 28 of 32 for 290, 3 touchdowns, but he made a lot of mistakes too. 2 interceptions. I believe he also lost the fumble. Not a great game overall, but he looked great at times, but just a lot of mistakes. Cam Robinson, he played his first game. I thought he looked like okay at best. He didn't look great. He certainly was not Darisaw, but he wasn't a liability. So I guess that's a win. Justin Jefferson, 7 for 137, great. Jordan Addison caught a touchdown. One interesting thing is that Cam Akers was the RB2 in this game over Ty Chandler. Like Chandler did not get a single carry in this game. It was all Cam Akers, so it looks like Cam Akers is the new RB2 there. And I bring that up because Aaron Jones has an injury history. So Akers, he's not good. So I don't know if I'd own him, but if you're in a really deep league, then you should definitely own Akers just because, like, if Jones goes down, like, you can beat people to the punch on the waiver wire, especially if you have Fab in that league. So let's see. Santiago says someone is going to be Hunt for Hopkins. I thought you had. Okay. So let's see here. I'm confusing teams. No, I wouldn't take Hunt because Pacheco is going to be back in 3 weeks, so I wouldn't do that. Chris says 100% agrees selling high on Hopkins. Fantasy players are obsessed with recency bias. I sold Likely and Worthy after week 1 for ridiculous values you never get now. Yeah, in the best ball drafts, in week 2 onward leagues, Isaiah Likely was being drafted in the 4th round. The 4th round. It was insane. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, this is amazing. I tried to do as many drafts as possible because I thought it was like really good leverage to fade that. And out of every week that I've done the drafts, I'm doing the best in week 2 weeks. Just because like so many people wasted 4th round picks on Isaiah Likely. It's just insane. You're absolutely right. There's a major recency bias. Although I do think that like Hopkins, I think he'll be good. Like I said, I'm not down on him. I think that he's going to work in this offense. He's the only viable wide receiver they have. So like I feel like he has a high floor, but he's not going to catch 2 touchdowns every week. And like I said, he may sit week 17 along with the other starters. So the Monday night game, we just brought this up. Chiefs 30, Buccaneers 24. Hopkins looked great. He snatched the ball away from a defender in a 35-yard catch. He caught 2 touchdowns, 8 for 86, 2 scores. Again, I'd like him, but he's not going to catch 2 touchdowns every week. So you have Kelsey, 14 for 100. That's how bad Tampa is against tight ends. Don't get carried away by this. Like Kelsey, obviously a great talent, but he's not going to do this every week because Tampa just allows a lot of yards to tight ends. But so do the Chiefs, and that's why Cade Otton. That's why we played him over receiving yards. He went 8 for 77 and a touchdown. He was the only guy catching passes to do anything for Tampa. Like they have nothing else, and they will have nothing else until Evans comes back in week 12. So I think they're an easy fade this week. Evan and I actually disagree with this one yesterday. He likes Tampa at plus 5.5. I like the Niners a lot. I think they win this game pretty easily, especially if McCaffrey returns. So I guess that's it. Hunt for 27 for 106 and a touchdown. Again, like try to sell high on Hunt right now because Pacheco will be back soon. I imagine most people will know that, but you might be able to trick someone into taking him on. All right, yeah, and I guess that's about it for the show. I mean, thanks so much, guys, for commenting and watching. Really appreciate it. And thanks especially to Andrew for the $5 in Canadian. I don't know what that is, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Andrew. And then John Sanders for the $2.30 for the toothbrush. Again, I have my mini toothbrush here, but now I can get a big toothbrush. Thanks to John for the $2.30. We'll be back tomorrow after the Thursday night game. Again, same deal as usual, 15 minutes or so after the game's over. We'll be back. We'll be with Andy Isco, talking about the NFL picks. On Saturday, Tom is going to be back from his 1-week hiatus. So looking forward to that as well. Our shows with Tom are always a lot of fun. And then next week, we're going to have a full slate. We're going to have a replacement for Kenny for 1 week. I won't say what it is yet because there could always be cancellations, but it should be a fun show. And then, I look forward to all these shows. So once again, guys, thank you so much. And hope you guys have a great night. Hope we win some bets on Thursday night tomorrow. I'll have the player prop bet, same game parlay, all that. Everything will be up. The college picks, DraftKings stuff, everything will be up by midday tomorrow. Like I said, I'm behind, not just because the election, but because the show last night went 4.5 hours, and also it was a trade deadline too. So it was like triple whammy. It was pretty tough to get everything done. But I'm actually going to go work on all my stuff right now. So I'll post all that stuff. But like I said, by midday tomorrow. So again, like please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. Thanks again, guys, and have a good night. And I'll talk to you.